Hi everyone, welcome back to Brook Valley Life, or hello for the first time. Today I'm going to talk about how I've started archery, when I started archery, how I learned everything, and how I've got to where I am today. So it's a bit of a journey, hopefully it won't take too long, but stay with me, there's some good bits in there. So hello everyone, welcome back to Brook Valley Life, and today it's a bit shitty outside, so we're going to talk about how I got into archery, how I learnt archery, and how I got to where I am today. So if we go back a couple of years, it must have been around 2006, I think it was. So I would have been, let's have a look, 37 at the time. So I got into archery quite late. And a friend of mine, we were working together away from home, and of an evening, he did archery just for fun and said, do you want to give it a go? I went with him to our local gym where we had the hall, and I started shooting. Bought myself a really cheap bow, cheap arrows, and that's how I started. Never did a beginner's course, anything like that. But how did I learn the fundamentals? Well, it all comes down to these things. Books. In fact, this here is the first book I bought on archery. Read it from cover to cover, and I learned some of the stuff from there. This is a pretty good one. It gives you the basics, and it is very, very simple. How to set the bow up, fitting equipment, shooting safely, good form, refining technique, aiming, shooting, anchoring, stuff like that. So Archery Steps to Success. So nothing sponsored here. This is what I've used. These are my books that I bought with my money. So Archery Steps to Success was the first one. Second book I bought, Precision Archery. Yeah, Steve Ruiz and Claudia Stevenson. Again, it's another good book. Just tells you all about archery. And at the same time, I bought this one, Archery Fundamentals. Again, I was trying to work out how I could shoot as best as I could. At the time, I was shooting a KAP bow with KAP limbs, so it was all really cheap. And I bought some Platinum Plus, Eastern Platinum Plus arrows. I've been shooting about 2.5 months with my friend, and I was in the Navy then. And the guy who was like the captain of the Navy archery squad back in the UK came up to him and said, do you want to be part of the Navy team shooting at the Nationals as the inter-service championships? He said no, he didn't, because he didn't like shooting in competitions. And the captain saw me shooting and says, do you want to give it a go? So my first ever competition was shooting in the inter-service championships at the UK National Indoor Championships, but I didn't realise what it was at the time. I didn't use a clicker. I had all this cheap equipment. I never had sidebars. I did have a stabilizer, long stabilizer, and I had a really cheap sight. Went, shot, my first score in a competition. This was a 3-spot, so the WA 18 metre 3-spot, and I scored 410 points. Always remember that one. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I didn't score well, but it was my first time shooting in a competition after 3 months. And from there, it just progressed. I bought myself a very nice bow at the time, a Hoyt Nexus with Hoyt G3 limbs from Wales Archery. They were great. I managed to get a set of X10 arrows. I just bought everything that was good at the time. I managed to get myself a Sherlock sight off eBay in the UK, and I was shooting. I shot for a couple of years in the UK. We won the inter-service championships for the following 2 years after that, which was cool. And I just shot my local club. I got better and better, but I still wasn't using a clicker. I still had no one coaching me. I just shot how I was shooting at the time. Was it any good? Looking back, no, I could have done a lot better, but I got to a certain standard. Come 2009, I left the UK, emigrated to New Zealand, and this is where I am now. Not a lot here. We are on the other side of the world from everyone, it seems, and trying to get stuff here into New Zealand is difficult. It's expensive, and yeah, things are expensive here because of the transport costs. I started archery again when we first got here, 2009, 2010, but I had joined the Royal New Zealand Navy, and with things that was happening, I was too busy working, and then I hurt my back, and I was out for a long time. So that's about 2009, 2010. Moving on a bit, 2016, I had got a new job, still in the Navy, but in a place just outside of Wellington, New Zealand, called Trentham. And they had a local club there, so I thought, I'm going to be here, I'm working away from home, let's try and do something to spend my time. And I went to the local club, and that was Trentham Camp Archery Club, TCAC. Great bunch of guys, and I shot. And even then, I still wasn't using a clicker, I was just going up, shooting as I'd always done. This time I thought, I need to get better. So I bought myself a clicker, I read some more books, I watched, by this time stuff was coming out on YouTube, and I was doing all that and seeing how to do it, and I started shooting a lot better, started taking part in some competitions, and I started winning some competitions and placing in competitions. I thought, yeah, this is cool, but I want to get more consistent. So what did I do? Well, first I got one of the guys who was a compound archer to come and have a look at me. I started videoing myself and seeing what I was doing. I had a really cheap action camera. It was something you could buy off, it's Trade Me in New Zealand, and it was something like $20. I'll put some pictures up of it here and just show you how bad it was for quality. But you can see my shooting. I wasn't using a clicker, and you can see I'm just going poing, but I was scoring okay. 70 meters, I was scoring 550s, 560s, all stuff like that. And at the time, that was pretty good for me. Then the local region, so Wellington Archery Association, did a weekend of coaching. Now, this coaching was with a guy from Auckland. His name is Rob Turner. Now, if you ask me, Archery New Zealand messed up big time. Yeah, this guy should have been given a coaching job with Archery New Zealand, funded so he could go around New Zealand to help all of the different regions, coach the New Zealand squad, which is, yeah, we won't even go there. And he came down, had a weekend with him. I learned so much in that weekend. I'll put some video of this, of my coaching weekend, of how I started and then how I finished. So I'll stick that in now, and I'll come back to you in a second.
A little more. There we go, that's the spot. Nice shot.
So yeah, that's how I started, that's how I finished. I was shooting really well afterwards. I went to some competitions, I won some competitions. I had a really good year in 2017. I won the indoor nationals in New Zealand. I came second. I was the second New Zealander in the outdoor nationals. I came second in the field, and I came third in the cloud. So overall I won the Champion of Champions recurve archer for that year, which was pretty good. Also went to the World Masters Games and came away with 2 silver medals from indoor and outdoor. I didn't do the field because at that time I wasn't shooting field. Crazy, I know. What else? I won a few others. I'll put some pictures up of what I won anyway, and I placed in other things as well. But I wanted to get better. I was shooting about 100 arrows, maybe a bit more a day. I was training in the gym as well. I was at work, so I wasn't at home, so I had nothing distracting me, and yeah, I was enjoying myself and shooting really well. By this time as well, I was looking online and watching different channels, and the 2 main channels I would say, 3 main channels that I was watching was the beginnings of Jake Kaminsky. Lot I've learned from him. Archery Supplies, a guy named Stephen Han in Australia. He owns Archery Supplies archery shop, and he does a lot of reviews and just shows new equipment coming through, and old equipment actually. Very, very good. And also I think it was the Archery Online Academy with Ash Morgan, and again watched a few of his, and I started to understand more things. I was enjoying my archery, and due to a change in job, in fact I left the Navy and I moved back home, and I got a job at the local Polytech teaching engineering, marine engineering. That's my job. Excuse me. So I'm at home, joined the local club, and then COVID came and we were in lockdown, and during lockdown I was doing some DIY at home and hurt my shoulder again, hurt my forearm, couldn't do any shooting, and I was out for about 1.5 years without touching my bow. All because I couldn't draw and I had pain and physio and all that type of thing. But I was watching my videos and this type of thing and just learning some things. I picked up my bow again, and I think there was one or two videos, I think it was from Jake Kaminsky, and it was all to do with drawing the bow. I'd always sure I wasn't drawing my bow correctly, and it turns out that was true. I was drawing with my arm, with my bicep, so I was an arm shooter is what they say. So I was pulling it back rather than engaging my shoulders or my shoulder muscles, my lats and stuff like that on my back, which are the big muscles. And he said something that just clicked in my brain, and it was, put it on here. This should be, you don't pull from here, you don't pull from here, you pull from here, and you bring it back round, and as you bring that back round and you pull from your shoulder, you bring your back muscles into play, and it'll make it easier to draw. Now I started doing this, and it was oh my god, my draw length has just increased by, I think it was 1.5 inches to 2 inches. I was about a 27 inch, maybe 27.5 inch draw, and now I'm 29 inch draw. All my arrows were too short. I was getting more draw weight on my bow because I was drawing it further, and I was getting back in. I was straight through the clicker, so everything had to change. And it was, and there was something else. I was watching, getting back into it, and I was watching my head. I was videoing myself more. I've obviously started this channel, and as I was drawing, I noticed that my head was staying down. And one of the things I was told, if I go back to when Rob was coaching us that weekend, it was keep your head up. Yeah. Keep your chin up. Look down your nose at the target. And I started doing that, and I was drawing back, and I was going through the clicker, and everything was going nice. The archery was on and off. I was only getting back into it. You've seen some of my videos with my shooting, and it started off really bad. That's because I hadn't shot for about 1.5 years. Now I'm shooting a bit better, and in my last couple of videos you'll notice it's gone from really bad. I've had some bad shots, but again, the only other thing I've had trouble with is this front shoulder and it popping up. Yeah, even when I'm shooting lightweight bows and stuff like that, it pops up, and I've been trying hard, and I have found something that is getting me to shoot more consistently, and that is when I come to draw, yeah, I bring the whole bow up high and then drop it down and then draw around, and I'm finding I'm getting a lot more consistent with doing that. I'll put some videos of this while I'm talking, of what I'm doing now compared to what I was doing. I may even try putting one above the other so you can see the difference. My shooting is getting better and better. I've also changed my bow. I've gone from my Hoyt Nexus, which I've been shooting since 2008, 7, somewhere around there, in the Hoyt G3 limbs. I purchased myself, and I could say this is not sponsored, I purchased myself a set of Uka HX10 Evo 2, so they're middle of the range limbs, but I find them fantastic, so smooth. I like smooth limbs, that's why I went for the Hoyts in the first place, rather than win. And I also purchased it's a Junk Sing, yeah, so a Chinese bow. Yeah, I know a lot of you are against the Chinese, stuff like that. H7, which is a copy, and they're not saying it's not, it's a copy of the Hoyt Exceed, but they're calling it their own bow. I love this bow. It sits beautifully in my hand, very little vibration, shoots really well, and I've changed my arrows as well. I've gone away from Easterns. Easterns are good arrows, don't get me wrong, but they're very expensive. First, I went to Victory VAPs. Again, Stephen Han shot them, very good arrows, but they're 4.2mm internal diameter, so they're the same as like the Eastern ACGs or ACCs. So they're the small diameter, but they're not the micro diameter. I found a set of arrows called Skylon, both the not the Pandaris, that's the new ones that I may be looking at getting, but the Paragons and the Performers. Now, the difference between the two is alleged straightness. I've got a set of both. They're really good value, quite cheap, and they're the same diameter as the ACE or X10. That's the 3.2mm internal diameter. They're pure carbon, so some you can use, some you can't. It depends where you are in the world and what you're allowed to shoot on your fields. I know some clubs don't like you shooting pure carbon arrows because if you lose one, you can't find it, and then you've got kids running around and you don't want them falling on it and hurting themselves and stuff like that. But I've gone to these and they shoot beautifully. May well look at getting the set of the Pandaris 320s CAs just to see what they're like, because again, they're really good value. They're the same internal diameter. Again, I believe they're Chinese, and I just want to see what they're like. Do a review on them. But this is where I am to now. Lots of books, lots of videos, a little bit of coaching, and I would always say, if you can get a coach, and a coach you can trust. Yeah, I have had other people who were coaches that I just didn't trust what they were talking about, and it is up here for a lot of the time, but that's what it was. So this is how I've come from this, yeah, and I'm now into this with my shooting, which is coming on better and better, and I feel as though I'm getting better and better. So what I'd like you to do is stay with me for this journey, see how good we can get. Let's see how we go. Leave your comments how you started, yeah, how you got to where you are. What did you use? Did you use a coach? Did you use books? Did you use videos? Let me know. And if you like this video, please hit that subscribe button. We're up to 1,500 subscribers. Never thought we'd even get here. So thank you to everybody who subscribed. And yeah, hit the like button if you've liked this video. If not, have a look at one of my other videos somewhere. And yeah, see if you like them as well. Share it with your friends and other people as well. The more subscribers, you never know, I might get somebody to sponsor these videos. If not, so be it. And I will catch you next time. You have a great day, and yeah, keep shooting and enjoy where you are in the world. Bye bye.